Okay, I haven't been back to my computer since I sent that stuff to you, so you figured it out. Good, because I just remembered. Did you get appointed?
Okay, I have an idea.
With that. Hi, testing.
Well, do we want to start without the other members?
Do we have a quorum? We have people in the audience, members of the public, so let's not delay.
Okay.
All right, and they can join us when they're ready. So this meeting of the Open Space and Ecology Committee, January 19th, is called to order. And we'll start with adoption of the agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to add? I know Glenn, I think, sent me an email, but that would have been agendized for next time. So
Normally we have on here a place where we talk about our next meeting. And am I daft? Am I not seeing it?
It's 8C.
8C. Oh, good. All right.
You are daft.
I was daft. All right, because I think that's going to be a little bit of a conundrum this time. So I think that's it.
all right. Michael, anything? All right. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. We have oral communications, members of the public. Paul, you have anything for now, or? I do. All right, excellent. Welcome.
Paul Buscal, Brisbane resident. I would like to share with you about the creek restoration that we did last week on Sunday. We had a great event behind South Hill, beginning at 101, 111 South Hill, and on up to Dolby, between those properties and Quarry Road. We had 25 volunteers show up to do our first creek restoration of an annual creek that runs through there. We removed willows, we removed acacia trees, we removed lots of broom, which was 40 yards of compacted green waste, as well as 3 yards of garbage that was picked up along the way. And we're hoping on this property that's city-owned, this could be a regular restoration program that San Bernardino Mountain Watch could facilitate. And so our restoration manager, or I should say stewardship coordinator, Ariel, for San Bernardino Mountain Watch, was very enthusiastic and much appreciated the work that was done by all the volunteers. So I just wanted to thank the city of Brisbane and the volunteers that showed up, as well as South City Scavenger, which provided the green waste and garbage debris boxes, and Humboldt Tree Service came out and provided a great service for us as well. So,
Awesome.
Can I say something?
sure.
Absolutely.
We also pulled out 5 giant truck tires out of there, and now there's 2 access points directly to the creek, and I participated. It was fun, and it was cold and muddy and fun, and I wanted to publicly thank Paul Buscal for putting it together, not just on Mountain Watch's behalf, but his own personal donation of lunch for the entire crew, and also for securing Humboldt Tree Services and the dumpsters. And I mean, it just proves again that Paul is Volunteer of the Year. But it was such a joyful day to be able to start daylighting a new creek. I mean, a creek that's been there all my life, but that's been completely covered over. And so everybody was just gleeful about it.
Is it running right now?
Oh,
I imagine
God,
there's
yeah.
Lots of water in it.
Yeah, it was running on the 11th.
It's been running through the drought.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it runs year round.
It's part of it's part of the watershed that comes down from Devil's Arroyo and Dairy Ravine. The canyons to the north of the quarry all feed into it. So it comes down through the property we sold to Shinkai Bakery, and then it comes on down and all the way down, and then at 101 South Hill Drive at the end of the parking lot is where it goes underground for a while.
Okay.
But it goes straight to our lagoon. So it was
Guadalupe
remarkable.
Creek.
Yeah, and it's frog habitat and dragonfly and all kinds of other.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
there's a lot of potential there. There's also a lot of work. People are like, okay, what next? Well, it's a long-term project because we basically opened 2 areas. What would you say, a quarter mile apart, Paul?
Yeah, we did about 1,000 feet of the creek, the length of the creek.
But there's so much more to do. That was just very first pass.
So,
So-
is your suggestion to add that to our kind of annual roster, or have that be one of the places that we consider as one of the OSEC habitat restoration days that we do? Because I mean, we're up to 2 now a year, but
It could be.
we're
and-
always thinking about where to go. And
Yeah, it could be, and it would also be a good area to have the city help us restore, because it's right along the Crocker Trail, and it's accessible to the public, and I mean it's a beautiful habitat, potentially a beautiful habitat, and we're very blessed that we have one of the largest chorus frog populations in the Bay Area, and everything that we can do to keep that would be good. Camilo is there also, the creek restoration. So we had 25 volunteers, a lot from Brisbane.
We have coming up on subcommittees reports under 5A.
Is your mic on?
Is that the same thing?
no,
No.
So this is it was exclusively a Mountain Watch organized.
So, yes, and to answer your question about possible habitat restoration days in the future in that site, it was our hope that Mountain Watch, in conjunction with the city, could include that, like we do the Cypress Lane wetlands, as our stewardship program.
Yeah.
So that's what we'd like to do.
So are you looking for support from OSEC on that?
We are, and eventually, the city, in particular, Randy Rowe, has been very helpful with the Cypress Lane wetlands, and so we work collaboratively with them on that, and that's our hopes for the South Hill wetlands, or creek.
Could
When
you
it-
also tie in the Park and Rec?
We could. I mean, we haven't thus far. This was the initial kickoff habitat.
I'm just thinking the more more
Yeah.
groups
Yeah,
that
yeah.
get involved, the bigger it gets,
Yeah.
the stronger it gets.
And Camilla had a really good idea when we were out in the field doing it, was getting those businesses that are adjacent to the creek to participate as well. And, with their employees and with employee education, so that they don't continue to litter in that area at that level.
Yeah.
So that would be a good outreach from both OSEC and the city of Brisbane to outreach to get those, to work with us to get them involved in this and get more involvement in Crocker Park. As the face of Crocker Park is going to change radically over the next 10 years with the change in vegetation, global warming, the loss of the Monterey pines, and everything we can do to enhance it naturally with the watershed is really a huge benefit.
Right.
Is there any kind of is that encoded anywhere in the city plan, or because I know that there's different ideas about what would happen with Crocker Park economically or whatever. So as that happens, is any of that sort of identified as where we have an opportunity to preserve or restore some habitat? We should build that into the
Open space plan.
would that be in there in terms of sort of the Crocker Park area?
I don't know. I'm not sure that in the past Crocker Park was necessarily considered in the open space plan, so I would have to go back and look through the map and look through it and to see. Because at that time, you know, I mean, we considered it built up, but now we're learning about integrating open space and, you know, and natural space along with that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
It should be, because you know, we have the trail there. We have
Sure. Well, I mean, it's certainly a lot to talk about within the, you know, the habitat restoration within the context of the subcommittee report, like Michael was mentioning.
okay.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I fully support, you know, trying to get as many different organizations or whatever working together to you know, build up attendance of these kind of events.
And we appreciated the city's willingness to let us work on their property there, as well as the local property owners there for access. So
Yeah.
it worked out great. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for the update.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Do we have any other oral communications from members of the public? Okay. Great. Shall we move on to approval of the minutes?
I had a couple of small things. Unfortunately, I know I'm not very good about sending them to Natalie in advance, but this time I actually was having email problems. So on the first page, committee members present, Megan is listed as both being present and absent.
And she was
Absent, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very quantum state.
Yes. And let me see. On the second page.
I was present.
Oh, are you not on there? Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I missed that.
I was here.
Okay.
Could you please add me? Thank you.
On the second page, item 6, second to last bullet item. So it says EBA would like to know the reason. I would prefer that to say like to know if there is a reason why the city. Because I don't presume there's a reason. I just want to know if there are any reasons, if the city has, or the council has any reservations. And I think and then under item 9B, the fifth item, I think Glenn and I were going to work on drafting that letter together.
Yeah, I hope so, because
Yeah.
my name's the only one listed on the
Yes,
subcommittee.
yes. So
Subcommittee of one.
if you could add me to that one, and then that'll all be legit.
Excuse me. My understanding was also that I was no longer on the open space letter committee. I really can't do both of them.
Wait, which one?
Back up a page, I think. Let's see. Yeah, the subcommittee will articulate concerns with weaknesses in the plan, Fieldman, Salmon, and Vladimirova. I thought I was off that one and on the DEIR. I really don't want to do both.
Okay.
Well, we can certainly, I think we're going to discuss the subcommittee list after
Yeah.
we do the reports.
Okay.
So certainly, yeah, let's work it all out so everybody's clear which ones they're on. And
Too many subcommittees.
yeah, absolutely, especially if you're the only one on some of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
So-
weren't listening.
That was it for my corrections.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else have any?
Shall I make a motion? Oh, do you have something, Michelle?
No.
Can I make a motion for approval?
Do we have a second? Aye. All in
In
favor?
favor? Aye.
All right. Excellent. So, chair and committee member matters. Anybody? Barbara? Sean? Anybody have any?
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
yeah?
something, but
Oh,
You want to go ahead?
Sure. I was just going to mention that Bay Natives, which is another, it's not our beloved Mission Blue plant nursery, but is another good native plant nursery up in San Francisco, is having a sale because they have not yet been able to pay their December rent on their place. So everything is 30% off. So not to take business away from our local efforts, but if you have a couple extra dollars you would like to take there and go shopping, I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll be having a plant sale in February, I believe February 20th.
Yeah.
Bay Natives
Yes.
is a for-profit nursery, but they do really good work. And they have a wider variety of natives, not limited just to San Bruno Mountain.
Yes. And they also have some nice edibles, garden edibles and things too. So
Maybe for the cameras, if you know their address.
they are out at the very end of Cargo Way up in San Francisco off of 3rd. I don't know the numerical address, but if you just go up 3rd and you go out Cargo, you can't pretty much go you're there before or you're in the bay.
It's right by Heron Head Park, right?
Yeah.
So Heron Head
Oh,
Park
I know
is
the
right
one.
there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Camellia?
Yes, one thing that I wanted to bring up is I've noticed people, and I was wondering if they're from City Public Works or whether they're private landscapers, but I saw them here in the downtown park, and I saw them up on the ridge on several streets with tanks on their bags, and they're spraying. And actually, I saw one yesterday off of Valley Drive and North Hill Drive and in Pitco Foods. So I stopped by and I asked the guy what he's spraying for, and he said he's spraying against weeds, and he was spraying with Roundup. And so the first thing is we're in rainy season, so I assume all these chemicals they're spraying with are getting washed away right away. So my question was, why are they spraying now? But the second question is, they're spraying with Roundup, which has been classified as a carcinogen by the California Environmental Protection Agency and by the World Health Organization. So I wanted to suggest that for any areas where we don't want grass to grow, the city of Brisbane discontinues or ask landscapers and public works if they're using it to stop using non-carcinogens like Roundup and move to non-toxic sprays, because these are all public areas where people walk with their children, with strollers, people walk with their pets, and so spraying with chemicals like Roundup that are recognized as carcinogens puts the health of the whole city and all its residents at risk. So my first question was, do we know if Public Works is doing any spraying against in the areas where we don't want grass to grow, and what chemicals they use there?
I do know that we have a policy to not allow it, and we're not using it. So this must be private property owners, and I don't believe we currently have any regulation related to private property owners, and it would not be a Public Works issue.
If it's a contractor that we're contracting with through Public Works or for
They do
city
not.
area?
They do not.
Because I know that we don't, because this was brought up years ago where we banned.
And our contractors do not either.
So can you double check? Where did you see them doing this?
So the guy where I stopped by and asked him was at Pitco Foods.
Okay. So can we introduce legislation, or can we introduce ordinance, recommend to the council an ordinance that it's not to be used at all? I mean, it is not only carcinogenic to humans, but it prevents amphibians from being able to have their eggs hatch. It is
That's right near the creek.
really nasty stuff. And many cities have outlawed its use already.
That's right, and that was my thought, whether the city can pass an ordinance for all, landscapers and associations and businesses and people to move to non-toxic sprays, because they exist. So there is really no reason to use something that's classified as a carcinogen and damages wildlife. So it's universally recognized now as
Being a deadly,
yeah.
nasty chemical as bad as DDT.
Can I tell you what I do to control weeds in my yard? I have an extension cord, an electric teapot,
Boiling water.
I pour boiling water on them, and it mostly works.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something I should know the answer to, but I'm not sure where we are on this, so I can make a report next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually really, really concerning to me. And,
Yeah, to me too.
So I think I think if we could get more information about, where we're at currently in terms of policy and, whether it's even possible to outlaw the use of a product like Roundup. I mean, we may be constrained by state law to say if it's legal for sale for domestic use, or whatever. I'd like to find out if there's a reason or if there's any steps that we could take to prevent its use within our happy little municipality. That would be great for many.
It might be a little tough.
If we can outlaw the use of
Especially
tobacco in
Yeah.
a public place, we can damn well outlaw the use of Roundup.
Well, yeah, I mean,
One
it's
would
all,
hope.
Maybe.
not to take an uber cynical view, but it's all about the strength of the relative lobby within our state house in terms of what protections have been passed for corporate criminals. But that is digressing from our current topic. So, yeah, I mean, if we could just get a report and
something on
figure
the
out, maybe it's something that we add to the work plan or something. I mean, I'd like to see what's in terms of sustainability. I can't believe that this hasn't come up before. We've talked about, trees, approved tree lists, and we've talked about native plants and all of this stuff, and it's never come up because I just figured that we wouldn't do that, or it wouldn't be possible. But I guess
Just to be clear, we don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
we as a
It-
community,
it is not.
including our private land owners. But anyways, yeah, I mean, if we could get a report, it'd certainly be interesting to see, because whatever voice that this committee can have, I think that we're pretty unanimous in wanting to limit, if not completely forbid, its use. Unless there's anybody here that wants to speak up otherwise.
No.
But yeah, so.
I'm just like,
I just wonder how you're supposed to kill ivy. I mean, Roundup doesn't touch ivy, so I mean, there's no reason to even use it on ivy. But
You just
how do
pull it out. The best thing to do with ivy is pull
Yeah.
it.
It's interwoven in a chain link fence. Can't get it out.
Cut all the stems at the base and let it die back.
It won't die. It grows off its own.
Yeah, and I mean, and even though this was happening at Pitco Foods on Northfield Drive, the guy was spraying right along the sidewalk of the city street, and so I was on the sidewalk actually passing by with my dog, and that's why he was so close. I asked him, so he was virtually spraying right next to the city street. So, it wasn't even, and Pitco Foods sells food, so it's just scary in any way you think about it. But, it's, I just feel that even private property owners are spraying so close to public areas that we should be able to recommend them to use non-toxic spray.
Yeah, I mean, present El Nino accepted, we should be encouraging to be used native plants and xeriscaping and stuff where weeds aren't doesn't matter because you have natural stuff, but that's maybe a little long way off.
yeah, I mean, the unwanted stuff is still going to come up through the sidewalk and through pavements and stuff, but Roundup is not the answer
Right.
that will sustain us for long. It's killing the planet.
That's right.
We've got it. I'm horrified.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing where we're at next month. That'll be great. Thanks.
And can we put it on our agenda so that we have an action on the agenda to discuss and take action to send a letter to the council?
Right.
Or figure out an
Yeah.
action to take.
Yeah. And maybe you could ask our lawyer if we're able to, as a city, to legislate this?
I think we should be able to.
Yeah. Well,
It's
we just legislated tobacco, medical marijuana, tattoo parlors, and everything else. We should be able to do this. This is a true public health risk.
Right, and again, it's classified as a carcinogen by the California Environmental Protection Agency. So we have a state authority that says this is bad for people, whether it's employees or people just passing on the street. It's bad for Pitco Foods employees or anyone that's coming in to pick up food in their facility, right? So, I think we have enough reasons to recommend to the council that this is just banned from use anyway in Brisbane.
Yeah, I'm bringing back what has happened, or hopefully I can speak to the city attorney, and we can certainly plan to be recommending something to the council.
Yeah, let's see where we're at. Thank you, Camellia, for bringing this up. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's something to chew on.
Yeah, we talked about it many years ago, but I think at that time we decided to be happy with making sure the city of Brisbane wasn't using it, but maybe it's time to take the next step.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, yesterday the reason why I decided finally I have to ask what they're using is because I saw it in two places. One was actually along Silver Spot, which is Mission Blue and Silver Spot up on the ridge, and I saw it from my balcony, so there was no way for me to yell at the guy, what are you using? But the guy was spraying on that area along the street where we have, I think for fire reasons, we don't want grass to grow there. So my guess is that they were using something to kill the grass. And the guy when the guy at Pitco Foods told me that he's killing weeds, and he's using Roundup, I was like, oh, I wondered what the other person was using. It's possible that private landscapers are using Roundup, and it could be just talking to them to share with them that this is a carcinogen. They will switch because they're spraying in the residential community. The first guy that was spraying was literally spraying just under my balcony or across the street from it. And to me, that's concerning that, they're spraying in residential areas.
I'm actually not satisfied with just informing the truck driver, and maybe he's going to not do what he's paid to do.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's not a satisfying response to me.
Right, exactly. So the city needs to have a position on it and to ban that. Yeah.
And it all goes into our watershed.
Exactly. I mean, that was the other thing that to me was quite
Stream that you just cleared out.
unacceptable is that they're spraying during the time of rain, which to me means it's going to get washed off, or is it's so toxic and bad that if they're thinking that some of it will be effective after the rain we're getting, imagine how bad that thing is in terms of toxicity. So whichever way you look at it, it seemed very inappropriate time to spray now. During the rainy season, and the second thing was they're spraying with carcinogens, which is absolutely unacceptable.
Well, thank you. In the interest of our post-meeting evening, I'm going to say let's move on, and I look forward to hearing any information you can give us. And Camellia, you have not heard the last of this. I'm sure this is going to be a good one to look at. So I guess that takes us. Any other committee member matters? Great. Let's head into subcommittee reports, starting with Habitat Restoration Day planning, and that's PBNR's Parks and Recreation.
Parks, beaches, and recreation.
Oh, we have beaches here too. That's great.
I think they call themselves Parks and Recreation Commission.
Yes, but it is the PBNR is what it actually is, Parks, Beaches, and Recreation.
I thought they had dropped that, but
I don't know.
anyways, moving on.
I always said peanut butter and jelly. So at the Habitat Restoration Day planning, I haven't met with the PBNR yet.
So this is why I asked people to bring their calendars, even though you're the only person currently on the committee, so I don't know if anyone else would like to join it. But they contacted me and they asked if January 28th or February 2nd would work for a meeting day.
28th is okay.
Thursday.
So I'm looking at my calendar now because I was just going to skip to the day we were going to do it. So January 28th, yes, or the other one is February 2nd.
It's a Tuesday.
Yes. Either one of those are good for me.
Okay.
Okay. And then I would like to propose April 23rd as the date of the first habitat restoration.
Okay, we would decide that with them.
Okay. So who is
I believe Bonnie might be one person, and I don't know who the second person would be.
okay. And so is there a second person on our committee who wants to participate in planning the habit and helping to make the decision of where we're going to have it? And before I meet with them, does anyone have any recommendations of where they'd like to have it?
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, especially in light of what Paul brought up and that site. So like your current discussion with PB&R is just going to be on the first or the next Habitat Restoration Day? Because we do 2 a year now, right?
Yeah, I'd like to have us discuss both days.
But they do one also, right? They do the lagoon cleanup.
The lagoon cleanup is the lagoon cleanup, and that is that sponsored by Parks, Beach, and Recreation?
Coastal Conservancy, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
part of the Coastal
But it's
Conservancy,
PB
but
it's
who?
PB&R.
They're the lead on that. They've needed staff support, and we got involved. That's how we kind of got connected. But they tend to have that the same coastal cleanup day.
Yeah, everybody does it
That's-
on the same
that one's
day.
Pretty set, unless
Yeah.
Okay. So that one's not really up for discussion or debate, or they're not going to ask us to participate with them on that the way we're planning
right
Habitat
to select a
Restoration
date
days.
or a location.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we need to decide, in addition to Coastal Cleanup Day, Earth Day, and then do we want to have one in June? And do we want to up it to 3, or is that too many, or do you want to stay with 2?
What's the
Well-
turnout been in June?
The turnout in June, we had, how many did we have in, do you remember, Natalie? I think we had like 20 people in June.
It's pretty good.
It was good. And we did, in June, we did Firth Park. I think that this year it's going to be too wet still. It might still be too wet in April to do either of the canyons. Depends on what the weather's like.
I mean, I'm certainly up for having more than 2. Given availability, I'll attend all of them. It's just I wasn't able to attend the 5th one because of other commitments. But,
Yeah.
how does the committee feel about having a third, Habitat Restoration Day, kind of one per season, other than winter?
Do we have funds to be able to have 3?
Yeah, do we have sponsors?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't cost that much.
No.
Well, what would we do with the T-shirts?
What would we do with them? Wear them? Give them away? It doesn't really matter. It's not about the T-shirt.
Well, that would be asking for more funds from Recology, because for now, I mean, we got 2 T-shirts for each event last year. We could get, and then the year before that, we got 1 T-shirt with that was 2-sided. But then 3 events, that would be minimum of 2 again.
I think, go ahead, Glenn.
I was just going to say, 3 sounds like maybe spreading it too thin, especially because, we do have the community festival in the fall. And I think those things work a lot better if you're sure that people come. And if we're getting, 20 people at each one, that's pretty good. But I'm just concerned if we had 3 that we'd get lower turnouts and they wouldn't be as much, they wouldn't be as exciting as they are now. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd like to try 3 some year, but I don't know if this is the right year or not.
Yeah.
Just try it some year and see if it works.
A quick question, Paul. Your creek cleanup. When is that going to be again? The next one?
Basically, the one that we just had was just to give the creek an opportunity to have a initial cleanup. We didn't make plans to have that be a community event. It's basically going to be a Mountain Watch sponsored stewardship ongoing event. So it's not going to be like an annual thing. It's just going to be an ongoing
Like
effort.
once a month or something, or
Well,
We can.
whenever.
yeah, if we can, we're working on funding because we want to also include, like at the frog habitat at Cypress Lane Wetlands, an educational component. That creek there, our thoughts for that creek were to leave it more not impacted by educational groups going out there doing stuff. It's just something that we want to honor that creek. And it is beautiful habitat for the birds and a lot of things that go on there. And it was kind of our thought to leave that more just like
Or natural.
more natural, less impacted by
Venues.
people. We didn't want to put a pathway through there or anything. We just wanted to get it cleaned up and recognize it. And
Do some, true restoration work to provide.
So how about this for an idea? If we were on the fence about 3, why don't we throw in with Mountain Watch on their next one?
well, Mount Watch does. I don't know if I know the city sponsors the habitat events, but Mountain Watch, we come with tools and people to help with the volunteers at the habitat restoration days we do have with the city of Brisbane.
Okay.
So
That's not an option then?
the creek.
No, just helping out with your next project.
Between the quarry and Quarry Road.
No, between Quarry Road.
I think your mic, Camila?
Right, okay.
We could have the third day be something that Mountain Watch have identified as an area for restoration.
Sure, that's what you were saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely is something that we'd be interested in doing.
Then
Yeah.
it could rotate instead of being the same places over and over.
Well, what I can say about the restoration is I believe Natalie and the city tries to, and the committee tries to, it's not enough to just go in and do it one time at a place. Every other year, I think they like to revisit the sites that we were at to be able to maintain the work that had been done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like for instance, there's still a lot of work to be done in Firth Park Canyon.
It's a big canyon.
It's a big canyon, and there's still a lot of work. There's still a lot of work to be done at Costaños Canyon, and then ivy removal on up. We did a really good job last year when we did the area above San Mateo Lane, but we didn't even touch that canyon that's adjacent to San Mateo Lane. That's not really a canyon anymore, where the eucalyptus were removed. We focused, getting the ivy down. So we worked our way down to get the ivy off the mountain and to try to maintain that. So it's hard because we want to pick a place that's accessible for a large group and someplace where we can have, obviously tables and a porta potty when it's a city-sponsored event. And so these are the type of things that, like, suggestions of where we do these 2 or 3 cooperative days between PB&R, OSEC, the City of Brisbane, and Mountain Watch. It's important to pick, something that, because it's in conjunction with PB&R, we need to pick something that's appealing to them as well, that is more public access than the creek that runs, the one that we were working on. That's an important site. It's a very important site. And later in the year, when there's less frogs breeding, we might be able to have a joint work day there where we really could use a lot of help. But it will require more planning and more education. We'll have a better idea when we do more of the current work that we're working on, just accessing the creek and assessing what's really left there. So not to be long-winded, but if people have preferences about where they would want us to focus our efforts, I can take that to the committee and negotiate with PB&R about where they want to focus their efforts. I think we should definitely plan 2. The 2 that we've done in the past is Earth Day, and then we've traditionally done one in June. There were traditionally, 2 years in a row, we've got a tradition. And then I think it'd be awesome to have one in September, back to school before the family festival.
So
or October.
Can we move it out of June? Because June's a bad month. I have a lot of little birthday parties, and it's kind of packed to back with birthday parties that month. So that's not always the best one, unless I give up Father's Day, and I guess I could do that. But last year I went to a birthday party on Father's Day too. So
You guys should take a
Yeah, I
quick-
don't think Father's Day is a good weekend for most people.
yeah.
Even though it's on a Saturday and not a Sunday. But I definitely, please give me suggestions for the days that are good days for people who want to do this, because April 23rd or 22nd, Earth Day has been our traditional day for many years. So definitely open to, July. June just seems like a good time, but then people start going on vacation.
Yeah. Well, what does other members of the committee think in terms of June versus July? Or I guess let's start with Earth Day. That seems to be a pretty good one to keep. And
Yeah.
Anybody have any thoughts about moving it in April, or shall we just move on to the next one?
Well, April 23rd is really good because it's right the day after Earth Day. We honor what it's about. And Paul leads hikes on the 2nd and the 16th, so at least he'll be available, hopefully.
I was thinking the weekend before because it seems like there's a lot of competing stuff on Earth Day weekend. That's just my opinion.
Good point.
The 16th is a tough day because it's the day after taxes, and so people are still trying to and also Paul's not available on that day.
8 to 15th.
Oh, I've already got plans for camping on the 16th, so I won't be able to.
So I think we should keep with the traditional 23rd, which we usually pick.
Have you historically gotten a good turnout on that Earth Day Saturday?
Yeah, we had
There's a lot of people.
40 or 50 volunteers last year.
When you think about
Yeah,
the summer one, consider you probably don't want to do the 4th of July.
No.
No,
No.
not unless we're doing a controlled burn. Not.
With barbecue.
Does anyone know when the spring thing is? Because that always seems to conflict with our June.
Oh.
I should know.
June 25th? Is June 25th a bad day?
The spring thing is the last week in April, I believe,
Yeah, I think it's the April thing that conflicts me.
because I'm always out of town for it.
The 25th, that weekend is probably going to be the weekend that my daughter's having her 7th birthday. So, like I said, June's a pretty tough month for me.
Yeah, there's graduations and stuff like that. And then July,
But
maybe July 16th?
Would this be better if we just did a poll
Yeah.
through email?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. But also, before, is there, I go back to the question, is there anybody who wants to join me in meeting with PB&R?
I'll do it.
Okay. And,
anyone else?
because we could have
Yeah.
3.
Gosh, I can't figure out why the hell spring thing is not in my calendar for this year because I put
But
it in.
it didn't affect us in the last couple of times we've done it.
Okay.
Do you think it does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
I know
what
a
date
lot of
is
people
it? Do
who
you know?
said they had to choose, including myself. But
I do kind of remember that, actually. Yeah, no, I remember.
I mean, it's not that there's not enough other people in the community that we couldn't do it on that weekend, but
well, why don't
Well, you said it's the last weekend in April. That's the 30th of April.
I
April has 5 Saturdays.
Yeah, I swear it's in my
Yeah,
calendar, but I can't
why
find the
don't
damn
we
thing.
why don't we just make the April one tentative and subject to the spring fling, and we can kind of confirm and commit at our next
April
meeting.
23rd date should be okay.
Should be.
It should be, but just
Okay.
on the chance that it
Natalie,
conflicts.
can you put out an email, a poll or whatever, and then we can just make that decision?
Yeah, yeah. I guess make a poll, and that way we can kind of come to a consensus as a committee in between meetings, right? If we make a poll.
Yep.
And so make a poll for either the 23rd or 30th. Should we put the 16th on the poll, or that's
Yep.
for everyone?
7/16 as the second date, and also
No, sorry. For the first one,
oh,
the 23rd and the 30th. That way we can just work it out over email. And then for the June one, I guess the Saturdays between Saturday the 18th and
okay, 6/18 or
through July 16th.
7/16. Okay. Okay, and then suggestions, if people have suggestions, they can just email me directly on areas they would like to.
Well, yeah, should we take a moment to discuss
good with
those?
that.
I mean, so we did Castaños 2 years ago for Earth Day. So would Castaños be up again, subject to the dryness?
It's going to be awfully wet, I bet.
Yeah.
Just
Do
maybe
we need
my
to commit
thought.
on a
So
place?
maybe
Natalie
open.
and Karen, do we need to commit on a place like early in order to secure the resources, or do we know we're going to be putting a?
Well, we're meeting with PNR on the 28th, so there's
Right.
not a lot of time to.
Yeah. So we
Unless
need-
people are going to be diligent about
Well,
emailing me.
And it's more like that subcommittee is going to make the actual determination.
So let's
Yeah, we
let's
pretty
make
much make all the decisions.
let's
in that
make our
order.
hot list. So Castaños Canyon, Firth Park.
What about the place that Paul, the creek?
They
do we
just
want-
did that.
That creek.
Yeah, the creek place that you guys just did. Is there more to be done, or is that too soon to consider it for the first one?
It'll still be really wet
Okay, all
for
right, yeah.
April too. There's also, I'm just listing the places we've done
Sierra
before.
Point Creek
Quarry Road.
or Canyon. It was flowing really good this morning. though.
Which one?
Sierra Point. Little canyon that goes down through Sierra Point.
Oh.
It hasn't been done, but it's been pretty well maintained. You can still walk up in there, but
Oh, okay, Sierra Point Road. The one that's like at 400 Sierra Point Road.
I don't know the address. Goes under the road there.
Uh-huh.
Goes down towards
Mono Street.
Mono, yeah.
Okay. Sierra
Oh,
Point
yeah.
Road. That might be a really
So kind of like where
That'd be
Mono and
neat.
Alvarado come together up to Sierra Point,
well actually
No, it's-
on up.
and up from there to Humboldt or whatever it is.
Visitation meets with Sierra Point.
Mm-hmm.
It's more in that area. It's a little further more
Okay.
south.
Yeah. Okay. And then
Oh,
Quarry Road, and then San Mateo Lane or not?
yeah. We should have it on the list as we talk about
Okay.
it. Is there anything more that needs to be done there? That's the one we did last spring, right?
Right, but we would do the lower San
Right.
Mateo Lane
Right.
if we did that one. But any other suggestions?
Isn't that private property?
That canyon? I don't think that.
And that's city property.
That's city property.
Yeah, I think the private lot has a fence on it, so you can kind of tell.
Oh,
Yeah.
You've got
Um,
5 sites.
Well, we're just listing all the
I mean,
possible.
5 potential. So
Yeah. Is there any others that we've neglected?
Trying to think of something that's not a canyon and wouldn't be wet. And I'm stumping myself.
I put Quarry Road down.
Yeah.
Skate park. It's come up before.
Paul,
Okay.
any ideas?
The site on San Mateo Lane would be a good site because there was planting of buckeye trees and other little trees that are being impacted by ivy and other invasives that are, there. But, it would be nice to also look at other areas in Brisbane, like on the Ridge.
Yeah.
There's some areas that are impacted by broom and other invasives. So I don't know. I know the Ridge has homeowners associations or community groups there that could possibly identify a spot or two on the Ridge to include those neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not sure where exactly, but it's a good thought.
Well, the area just even along between South Hill Drive and Mission Blue, I don't even know what that street's called. That whole hillside there is not being worked, and it's filling up with fennel and broom and all kinds of invasives, and that is still prime habitat, but it's an orphan area. We discussed this when we were doing the PCA grants. So that is it's a hillside, but it's an orphan area
It's
that's
like
not being worked.
between the Ranch Road and South Hill Drive, sort of where that water tower is.
No, not that area. Where the area where you go up, you get to Expeditors, you turn right. That's South Hill, okay, and then you go, and then you would turn left to go up to Mission Blue Drive.
Right.
That whole hillside, that whole area.
Monarch
there.
Drive.
Pardon?
Monarch.
Monarch, yeah, I think it's called Monarch. that whole area above the sign, the stone sign, that whole hillside below Viewpoint is prime habitat that's just going to rack and ruin.
How hard is fennel to get out, and do we have the equipment for it?
I don't know.
That would be because
It'd be like right around here.
So spring thing is April 30th.
Yes, it's this whole area all in here.
Oh, okay.
you found it.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Is when?
Spring thing is April 30th this year.
All right, so I think we're good on April 23rd. Anybody have any suggestions? Do I have a motion for making that our recommendation for the first,
I move.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Wow, I feel we're getting so much
Okay,
done.
and
That's
we've
great.
got a good list.
Yeah.
Ranch area.
So, any thoughts on prioritization or whatever that Michelle and Michael can take to the subcommittee meeting, or shall we leave it in their capable hands?
I really like I like the idea of doing that last area mentioned, but the big problem up there is fennel, I think, or the biggest one, and that may take equipment to remove. I mean, this
Fennel
is probably a
is
good year to
difficult.
try to get it out because it's so wet, but we've got to be sure that there's enough equipment for people to use before we do that.
I think fennel doesn't have very deep roots, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, baby.
That fennel is tenacious.
It is a bear to get out.
It's really hard to get out.
Yeah, we. It's probably why my arm doesn't work well anymore. Okay.
So the Levinson property is probably out as private property, but
That
is
private
the
property right now.
yeah, it's the would we want to get permission for them or work around the edges of it? That's just a thought.
I'd like to buy it and work it.
You
Yeah,
did
there we
mention
go.
a couple of years ago that the watershed area in that region is polluted and a lot of garbage in it,
Which area?
near the Leveson property.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, it's a wetland area, so I don't think they could own that.
I don't know.
Oh, you mean over near where the PG&E?
Kind of in that direction. Yeah, before the road though, that's where the trees get thick and the water runs. And it's supposed to be a spot where frogs and snakes can come together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember when you guys were talking about, the first year I joined the committee, you guys were talking about how you were over there. And there's a lot of garbage and it's really not in good shape. But then they also mentioned that it would be really hard to clean up because you can't really walk in the area because when you do, you impact it as well.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Let's look at a Google map together before we go into that meeting and maybe.
Yeah.
On the 28th, right?
Yeah. January 28th? Okay.
Where's that?
Thursday.
Thursday here?
Yes. A time hasn't been decided yet. I will email you.
Okay. And what time are you able to meet, Michael? Okay.
So-
No events.
So I just want to make my usual pitch for organic cotton T-shirts so that we're not polluting as we're cleaning.
We did last time.
Yep. And I just want to put that forward again, so that because it sometimes it doesn't stick every year, and that's okay if it doesn't stick for a reason. But if it doesn't stick because somebody forgot, that's not as good. And then, Natalie, you always do a great job putting the, bring your own bottle on the advertisement. And I was wondering if we could encourage people to expand and bring their own plates and utensils as well. I mean, I do anytime I go out. And I know probably most people wouldn't, but what does the committee think about adding that?
Well, we normally serve sandwiches, so
Okay. I guess it's the lagoon cleanup where they have the burgers, and I always wish I had a plate.
yeah.
So okay, maybe not for this then. All right.
Cool.
You have to put.
As we have organic cotton shirts, can we also serve organic sandwiches for lunch?
Well, we just need to find
We're
a
stimulating our
purveyor.
local economy and we're supporting small businesses.
We need to find a purveyor of locally prepared quality foods.
Organic foods
Yeah.
Yeah.
at a reasonable price.
At a reasonable price. I wonder if there's any purveyors of good local organic food.
Starbucks has some organic stuff. I don't know if their
No.
quiches are organic.
Can't eat Starbucks.
I think we're getting off into the kale at the moment.
Starbucks. I was like, no. This is a bad dream. All right. Well, hopefully we'll find a good source of food. Shall we move on to Lippman Science Fair, or any other thoughts about habitat restoration? All right. Habitat restoration. Lippman Science Fair subcommittee report. Who's on that subcommittee?
So the Lippman Science Fair is February 1st through the 4th. I'll be meeting with the school, teachers that will be reviewing the projects on the 1st in the evening, and then the fair is, I believe, 2nd through the 4th. So the awards will be granted in the evening of February 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good job. We'll look forward to seeing how that all comes out at our next meeting.
Yes, that the fair will be before our next
right.
meeting. So yeah.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Education and Outreach Committee with climate facts and invasive species articles.
Well, I think we're still working on the first set of 6 climate facts. In the it seems like last week there wasn't one in there. So eventually they will make their way to the public. We actually requested that they be treated somewhat differently on the website. So I don't know if you've had a chance to follow up on that or not.
I'm working on the 3rd fact, and I'm going to send it this week to be submitted. And I will mention placing it somewhere in the body of an email in the form of a picture.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
On the invasive species articles, I did have some roundabout commentary from some of the experts that.
Well, the experts in the past did not comment when I sent it to them for their approval, so hopefully the new experts will be more involved.
Who did you send it to?
I don't remember. I sent it to a couple of people. I think I sent it to the mail at the San Bruno Mountain Watch and to Joe Cannon, and neither of them responded. So I used the information that was available on, not CalFlora, but...
Okay, so I'm going to track down.
Invasive Plant Council.
Yeah, I think it was Invasive Plants Council. So I thought those recommendations were pretty good, although certainly, obviously, with retrospect, they could have been even better.
Okay, so I will find the right person for you, and they may even be willing to write the articles for us.
Sure.
So
If
I will
they want
find
to take
out.
that over, I'm on 7 out of 14
I know, that's
subcommittees,
why I was
so-
going to mention that. That's why I brought it up.
The manager at San Bruno Mountain Watch, the new, what is
Yeah,
her
he
name?
said he would help. So
Oh, no, are you talking about
did.
Ildiko?
Ildiko,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, she contacted us and she said she would be happy to review the articles for us.
that's,
Oh, great.
It's a he, isn't it?
no, Ariel is.
Ariel, okay, I'm confusing them. Yes, thank you. So yeah, I will, let me know if I need to write that or not. You know, I'm happy to do it.
You mentioned it in our subcommittee meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, we're ready for
Yeah,
the
but
next one.
So-
Michelle was just saying she might have somebody else.
Well,
to do it.
Ildiko is probably who,
Yeah.
where the information came from. So if she would, are you in contact with her, or do you want me to ask her? Yeah, ask her if she wants to write it.
Yeah, or I can do it. What's my deadline? I'm sort of scattered.
Just as soon as you can get it to me, and then I'll submit it for the following
Okay.
Yeah.
publication.
So I'll just do that.
Or you can suggest a plant or have her just write it for you if you are overwhelmed, Barbara. I think that she would do that.
Yeah. Who's not overwhelmed? Tell me.
Exactly.
Okay. So continuing along with education outreach, Megan and I have scheduled a day to spend a couple hours at the library and just see if we can beautify and expand our little ecology corner and make it more informative and exciting and enticing, because I think the library has kind of put in the time that they're willing to time, and I think it's up to us. So she and I have decided to do that. I've sent email off to Lippman about the green team to try and get them involved in some of our activities, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. Matter of fact, there's probably even a reply in my email right now because the principal there, Mrs. Heckerman, is very, very responsive, and I probably just did not get it. Spent enough time on the computer recently to have found it. It seems to me, oh yeah, I also did get around to tallying the survey from the results from the survey from the community festival. And if anybody's interested, it was pretty conclusively that people wanted to do it once a month. It was pretty evenly distributed between day of the week, so no matter what day we choose, the other, we're going to make 6 out of 7 people unhappy.
For what?
We talked about doing a ecology sustainability education workshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And time of day was pretty evenly distributed with a slight favoring of late evening. Most people wanted to do it for an hour. Most people wanted to be $5 or less. So I think we have about as much information from the public as we can get, and we can start planning those in the near future. I think we probably want to start at the subcommittee level and work up. So that is me and Glenn and Camila. And I thought Megan was on that too, except that would make a majority. That would make a quorum, so that can't be right. We'll figure that out when we talk about that subject. All right, I think that's all I have
Awesome.
for the moment.
Thank you, Barbara. Let's see, open space plan revision request. So we were gonna, we talked about that last week, or last month as a result of Paul's presentation to us.
And did you have any feedback from, is that, let's see.
Who's on the subcommittee?
I am, and.
It's a subcommittee of one at the moment.
It's a subcommittee of one. No, it's not.
No, it's you and Camellia.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
sorry.
me and Camellia. But what I'd like to do is, oh wait, Brisbane Acres preservation concerns. Okay. It's listed here as, I'm looking at the committees and then looking at what it is, and Brisbane Acres preservation concerns is Camilla and I, but this is also about updating the whole open space plan.
Yeah, so 2 separate things.
Right. So where's the thing on the committees for opening, for updating the open space plan?
Well, should we review that when we're looking at the list?
I don't know. I mean, I thought this would be not under subcommittee yet, because we were going to ask whether we would even be allowed to, or we was going to, I forgot what we were going to do. I'm sorry.
You guys discussed it at length, and the sense I have is that there's a limited amount of funds to purchase properties, and we haven't expired that list yet on the properties that are priority preservation areas for the reasons the plan was developed. So we can make that request to council, but I don't think that, I think that's why it's defined as it is at this point.
Okay.
So it would have to be a request from
Us
committee
to them.
to do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we do need an open space plan revision request committee.
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, it's a committee of me, and I seem to remember from our minutes that the other people who were interested in working on it was that's right, it was in the minutes. I'm sorry. Where? Right here. All right. Abney suggested city attorney is consulted on this matter. Brisbane Acres. That's the Brisbane Acres part of it. But in general, we talked about updating the overall plan.
Your microphone.
do we need to have a position on the Brisbane Acres before we can consider updating the plan?
No, it looks like from the minutes, only Michelle Salmon volunteered to. These are two separate issues. I mean, we can.
Yeah, they are two
clear, we
separate issues, even though they're linked.
Right.
Okay, so one is the acres we've already acquired and the status of them and how to preserve them in
Yes.
perpetuity. That's one issue. The other issue is updating the open space plan to include
To
more acres
revise and to expand.
and to expand it to like
By
creeks in Crocker Park and some of the other areas that we know now from our work on the PCA that we want to include in our open space plan, or make sure that there more attention is put to them. So it really is two issues.
Okay, so I can join you, Michelle, in the open space plan as well. So.
Okay.
Michelle, you're just asking to be allowed to make a revision?
We're being what I would like us to do is take this amazing, incredible document and update it.
Well, it's like 20 years old,
Yeah.
but it was prepared by consultants, so that.
Oh, okay.
So the
So you
cost
don't have
is
to do it all yourself?
Right.
It
And
means we need to get money.
and this is, what happens is when sometimes this should be a living, breathing document that changes with our needs. And it is amazing as it stands, but we now know that it needs to encompass even more than what it does. Okay, and so it was suggested in the meeting that we talk to Dr. Miller and, get his thoughts on it. Glenn, you were interested in you had expressed some interest in helping us draft a letter to the council.
I will help with, but otherwise.
I know. And just, so,
Might be good to. It might be good to talk to Mary Gudekanst also. Yes. To get her notions about revising the plan.
okay. So, yeah.
Do we need city council approval to do
Yeah,
that?
just to clarify.
Yes, we do.
For Michael, yeah, I mean, this was adopted by council, and it was a set of criteria were established, and, very detailed investigation of the properties was made, and then those certain properties were designated as a priority. So to open that up and revise it or update it or expand the criteria, that we need council direction to do that.
Because we're going to need consultants and more money.
Probably.
Well, yeah, I think you do. You need ecologists, and there are policy decisions that are deciding what areas are priority to preserve, and there's a certain amount of resources available. So,
Sure.
Yeah, but it was originally published in 2001.
If you want some help with drafting a letter to the city council to have permission to move forward with this, then we'd be more than happy to be part of that.
Okay. So Camilla and Michael and I,
I know you're overwhelmed, and I
well,
have a few things I'm on, but not many.
I think that this is very important.
Okay.
I mean, we are the Open Space and Ecology Committee. Do you want to call on a member of the public who wants to say
Absolutely,
something?
Paul.
Thank you, Paul Buscal, Brisbane resident, and I appreciate you letting me be involved in these discussions. I'm probably going to not pronounce the company's name right, but the Shunking Bakery property, I believe, was sold for $350,000.
300.
300. I believe that close to $50,000 was mentioned to be used to study trails. I believe Councilmember Lentz proposed that. That was public property that was sold, and I couldn't see better use of some of that money than to use it to fund the updating of the open space plan. So I know it would be great to use a lot of that money to purchase acres, which it should be used, but this is all related, so it's possible that if funding was an issue, some of those funds could be appropriated to facilitate that updating of that plan.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I also think there's a lot of things in the plan that could be updated just with information that we've already have accumulated in the last 20 years.
Yep.
That doesn't really require, yeah, it doesn't really require funding. It's just like the 50,000 quote unquote that they're setting aside to study trails. I mean, hell, excuse my language, we already know where all the trails are and where they need to be. And, that.
Do we know what the status of that study is?
Can I give an update? So
Yeah.
the $50,000, and I'm 99% sure it was spent out of is going to be spent out of the general fund to study bike, pedestrian, and trail facilities. Not just trail. So not out of the sale of that property.
Oh, okay. So it's two separate things.
And there's a meeting are you on that committee?
Well, no, that's why I was asking, actually. So yeah, it's coming up.
Tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Tomorrow at 5.
Let's check the calendar. All right. Well,
Maybe it's a week from tomorrow. I'm sorry. It's a week from tomorrow at 5.
okay.
And the consultant has started their work on, they're proposing types of infrastructure improvements. So it's bicycle and
Right,
pedestrian
bike ped master
facilities.
plan.
Yes.
All right. Oh, so that's the 50,000 is for the bike ped master plan.
Yes. And
But
they're
it's
also going
not
to look at
coming
trails.
from the bakery money?
No,
Okay.
general fund. And they're also looking at trails.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I have it in my calendar for next week.
Okay. So we need a subcommittee meeting, the three of us, when we can get together and
Okay.
point out the inadequacies that are now apparent or the areas that need updating so that we can draft a really full letter to the council making our case. And then we need to run it by Dr. Miller and Mary Goodenconst before we send the final draft.
And just ask Mary if she has time to do it, but I think she'd be a good person to ask.
I do too.
Oh, can I waylay us for a second? We still owe Mary her garden day.
Mary is resisting fiercely. I don't know why.
I am just going to get a shovel and buy some plants and go up there, and I'm going to go to town.
Good luck with that. She says very shady yard.
I see she filled the trench, so that's good.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a work in progress.
I took a walk up there the other day. I saw that there's been progress made. So, all righty. Well, good. So, and just one thought I had is the open space plan was the result of a lot of effort originally, and there was a lot of people who advocated it for a long time. So one of the things as we kind of approach the council to try to do it again is really let's lay the groundwork for a conversation that's going to, it may take a year or two before it becomes the council's priority, but I think that, getting that kind of bird on their shoulder to whisper it means that sooner or later it's going to come up, especially as it approaches its 20-year anniversary. Certainly there'll be a couple years of work putting it together. So that being said, we have a couple years to get their approval for a 20th anniversary refresh. And so good luck to all of you with your letter. I look forward to reading it. All right. Climate Action Plan Subcommittee.
We're cooking with methane-free gas. We had a great meeting, and we talked ourselves to death and came up with about 20 gazillion things we want to do and about 20 gazillion we want staff to do.
So we left the staff staggering under a vast load of work.
And ourselves, I think, too.
But we mostly talked about implementing the plan and how to do that. How much detail would you like?
The reading of the list of gazillion things. Shall we refrain from that?
Yeah, we should.
Okay. Yeah, I know that was a rhetorical question.
Okay.
Okay.
We're cooking along.
Excellent.
I think we should meet again in like 2 weeks, Glenn. Does that sound good?
Death by meeting.
That sounds great. Well,
I don't know, what does staff think in terms of when we should meet again? Because we had a lot of items that we wanted you to kind of check into, so I think maybe we should ask staff.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get some answers within a couple of weeks. We talked about how to get all city employees kind of thinking about the climate action plan. One of those parts is climate-friendly purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
Keep
I'm
going
still working
that.
on it.
How to get community and kids involved and reaching out to the schools and looking at how to get compost more or food scrap pickup more picked up by everyone in the community. And I think that maybe we wanted to approach that with South San Francisco Scavenger when they come next month. We talked about Title 24 implementation. We talked about the Peninsula Clean Energy, and we think we'll know more hopefully after the council study session, which I don't know if that's somewhere else on the updates.
Which we want to encourage people to come to on January 26th.
Next Tuesday at 7:30 here.
And it's the what?
Is it in here?
It's here, yeah.
Okay.
Which event is that?
This is the presentation on Peninsula Clean Energy.
By the county. It's a study session. And we talked about putting transit information together. So we kind of started picking away at all of those so we could meet in a couple of weeks. I guess Natalie can send out a meeting request.
Great.
okay.
How many, can I just ask how many people think they might be able to come to the clean energy thing? Because I've got this class. Oh, wait a minute. Next Tuesday I can make it. Never mind. I'll be here.
I think I can make it.
I'll be here.
Great.
I don't have a class until next week.
I have a board meeting.
Okay.
Yes, I have a different meeting as well.
Yeah, I've got Star Awards.
I'm not sure if I'm going to assume that it might be taped and then available on the city website.
That would be good. Okay.
Alrighty. So with that being said, let's review the list of subcommittees and see what other subcommittees we can recruit people to join that are low on people, or which ones are necessary.
So we added a number 16, which is the letter to council to update open space plan. And I think maybe it's just titled differently, but Glenn and I are a subcommittee to write a letter to the Planning Commission.
I thought it was just city council.
Okay.
On where?
15?
Number 15.
Okay.
Isn't that right?
I thought we were writing directly to the Planning Commission, but if we want to do it to council, that's
I
fine.
think it's too late to.
Yeah, I think it was too late. Like
Okay.
the planning council.
Oh,
is
yeah,
already
I think we
deliberating.
had that. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
So I would like to get a little bit of guidance from the committee on this. I assume that this is more about kind of the broad choice of plans for the Baylands. I hope it's not an assessment of how well the FEIR or FIER responded to comments and things like that. What I'm still trying to get a handle on what
So,
this letter
We
is
talked
supposed
about
to
this
do.
a little bit. It was probably December, wasn't it? That because we had our meeting with the council liaisons, and they said, hey, we think you should be involved in this planning process maybe a little bit more at some stage. And some of the other groups made presentations to the Planning Commission. That would be great. But, oh, guess what? Those are just finishing up, so we can't get you on the schedule. But there might be another way. And that way would be to just present that information to council, because they will also, the Planning Commission will deliberate on the land use recommendation and make a recommendation to the council, and then the council will deliberate on that.
Right.
So the EIR's purpose is, or the function of that is, does the EIR address the land use recommendation that either a group is recommending or the council wishes to adopt? Because if they talk about questions that are something that a land use that is never going to be put into place, then maybe that's not the focus. So really the focus is, what is the land use that open space would like to take to the council? And maybe a good starting point is the Krebel. Like, does that work for you? Do you guys like something else?
That's what I was asking, because a letter like this could be hugely detailed.
Yeah, I don't think either you or I have the bandwidth for that, but if I think it would be great if the committee members had input about things they thought should be there, if they could send that to Natalie, like factoids or opinions or areas of.
We did a lot of that work when we went through the draft EIR, and we had all those items that we parking lot didn't put into the questions because on the draft EIR, because it said that we would put those in when it came up to the council. Do you remember that? Yeah. And so if you could provide that to Glenn and Barbara, it's a reminder of all those things that we had listed during that process. Do you have that, Natalie, still?
I know there was a list of things to go to the Planning Commission. Was there also a list of things to go directly to council?
Well, that would be the list.
So that did get forwarded back to the Planning Commission at Barbara's request?
Yeah, they did. And I confirmed that they did receive it, so.
But if that's a good list to draw
Start
from,
with?
that's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good list to draw from.
If you could send that to us again, that would be helpful.
And we spent months
Yeah.
on that.
Okay. All right.
And that, keep in mind, I think open space, you guys talked about doing it as a letter, but it could be as a presentation to council.
I think a letter might be better.
Or
But
start with a letter, and then if we need to follow up with it.
if we could get that, then we should try to maybe have something drafted before the next meeting.
Mm-hmm. That'd be good. And maybe we could have a letter that we read into the record and present.
That works too. And I think you have a little bit of time. I don't think anyone's thinking the Planning Commission is going to be done with their deliberations in
Oh, good. Okay.
a couple of meetings, because they're only meeting twice a month on this, right?
All righty.
So Barbara, you added yourself to number 15, so it's you and Glenn now. Is that right?
Yes.
And
Any other changes? Or
I think for Habitat Restoration Days, we
added Michael.
added Michael.
And then we had number 16. You got that right. That's me, Cam, and Michael. And is there anybody who's doing something they don't want to do or that they do want to do? Yeah, number 16. So we can have up to 3 people on a subcommittee.
Glenn, what is climate facts?
Climate facts are, I wrote the first 6, and they're supposed to go on the Brisbane website or the
Weekly newsletter.
weekly
Is that anything you need
updates.
help with, or is it
is your microphone on?
Yeah, is that something you need help with, or is
Glenn?
it something that's already done?
Yeah, it's on.
I did the first 6, and I've probably got a few more, but if
got
you
it.
want to add some in, send them to me.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
Okay.
So on the Education and Outreach Committee, that encompasses a lot. And I don't know if you have side subcommittees on the Education and Outreach Committee, but one of the things that I'm a little bit interested in helping with after touring the South San Francisco scavengers is the education about what goes in what bin. I found I'm the neighborhood Nazi now about this, going around, don't put plastic bags in the... Well, it said they were compostable. I said, but they have a different timeline, so they don't go in there. So...
You know what? I think that's actually a really good idea, and we would kind of like to find out what the participation is on the composting anyway. So maybe we could kind of break that off of the general education and outreach subcommittee and form a different subcommittee on solid waste.
Yeah.
Would that go under number 2, litter education?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say we could take, litter is not doing a whole lot right now.
Right.
But if we made it litter and waste and garbage and recycling, it might revitalize it.
Yeah.
Get it moving again, and Michelle could join that.
Well, if you're going to start with start working on the litter education, put me on that one, which would take some of the pressure off you two.
Yeah, I could surrender that one because otherwise we would have 4.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think of ways to help you out.
Yeah.
Because you just added yourself to another one.
Me?
No, she did.
Yeah.
No, I've been on the litter and education.
No,
So,
now it
yeah.
becomes waste
you went to litter.
Waste stream.
Yeah, on the city.
Yeah.
FIR.
and
IER.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Michael, me, and Camilla? Or no?
Which one is this?
This would be waste stream education. Or were you not
Waste-
thrilled visiting the digester?
I already posted the brochures on the Residents of Brisbane page. I hope people saw them back in December.
Could we just call it waste stream? Because I think it would be really great if you guys could figure out a way to figure out the participation
Yep.
rate.
Waste stream.
We can really kick that off if they're coming to visit us next month, too.
Yeah. But I think they're just going to have aggregates. They're not going to be able to tell us, how many people are putting stuff out and.
Yeah, but we also might be able to work with them, maybe use some of their dollars in order to educate the people of Brisbane better.
Yeah. That'd be good.
That's some interesting video that I took at the facility when we were there. It's really disgusting.
I mean, that might be a good way to do outreach, but can we look at it before we? Well, if we're going to put it on a city site, I mean,
Oh, I was just going to put it on residents. I was just
can.
going to put it on residents of Brisbane.
I think you guys have more people on that than
Yeah.
she has on their Facebook. So
What if somebody could figure out a way to make a comic video about this and put it on the city website? Maybe the kid.
there was nothing funny about it.
My heart went out to that poor guy who was sorting the organic garbage and opening the plastic bags and it's like people think that these compostable plastic bags are fine to put their compostables in and then they tie it up and throw it in there. And at the end of 21 days, you still have a undigested bag full of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, this issue came up when we were banning plastic bags, that most compostable plastic bags are not compostable.
They're on a totally different timeline, and they don't digest in 21 days, and everything inside doesn't digest in 21 days. And so here's this guy going around opening up these bags, and
Well, also the recycling.
yeah, and the
With
recycling.
waiters with their pitchfork opening the plastic bags that people put their recycling into.
Yeah,
Right?
It sounds like
So-
a great opportunity for somebody who designs robots, but then we'll have unemployed people who used to work on the line sorting trash
well,
for gainful employment.
the other thing is our cost of trash is going to go up, 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 up. And now they're going to go by and actually look in people's trash bins before they pick them up and cite them for not doing it correctly. And they're going to start citing them for not having the bins closed all the way.
I knew the second, but I didn't know the former.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to start doing assessments and first tell people
Okay.
you got the wrong stuff in there. And, and then, because
Great
how else are they
questions.
going to be able to handle
Great
it?
questions for Scavenger in February because they'd
Yeah.
be able to tell.
Oh, I can't wait. That'll be good. Hopefully, maybe we can arrange another tour. I'm really bummed I missed that one.
Yeah, you should. It was really
Yeah,
amazing.
I wish I had gone.
Also,
Yeah,
can
I'm
we
bummed too.
really publicize that they're coming to the next meeting and really encourage the public to come?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you could put it out on the Brisbane website.
Yeah.
And the weekly email.
Work it into our climate fact with a picture, maybe. Work it into our climate fact. It's a picture on the weekly blast.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing is, it's like I walk along the bay every day in Emeryville, and I also drive along the bay when I'm getting on the freeway at a Candlestick Point. And one thing that just became really, really clear over the last couple of days with finally getting rain again is how much garbage and trash goes into the bay. It is amazing. I could fill up 2 full dumpsters of trash just in one tidal swell that comes in and goes out again over in Emeryville. And it's the same along here. It's tragic.
We should get one of those waterborne garbage cleaner things.
Yeah, those are cool. Saw those.
Aren't we under some kind of mandate from the state or
Oh, yeah.
from the federal government to clean up to reduce the amount of trash going into the bay? And are there certain things that we are supposed to do to satisfy that mandate?
Yeah, and I was just about to turn on my mic and say,
I must be psychic.
yes, that we had the maintenance team leader, I guess he's the maintenance program manager for the NPDES program, talk to Complete Streets because it came up about trash in residential Brisbane and natural plant droppings, and he'd be a good person to have because since we're not under order, but it's part of our municipal regional permit, and we do an annual report, and we have to do certain things to manage the trash. So we're still in the process of putting in trash capture devices in the catch basin, and he has maps of the hot spots. So we've got the areas that are red, that are big problems, the areas that are yellow, that are transitional, the areas that are green, they're in good shape. And he had really detailed photos of how the trash capture devices work. So we could ask him to come to a meeting. He was great with Complete Streets.
That would be
That'd
good.
be great. Yeah.
That'd be good.
Okay.
So I believe as of April 1st, even businesses are required to do food composting. Is that correct? So
There might be of a certain size or
yeah, that's right.
a
Yeah, it is
certain
of a certain size.
amount of use per employees, which I think in that first cut, we didn't have enough.
Most of our businesses don't
yeah,
qualify.
food producing or enough employees that they.
I see. Okay. So I guess then the only area which we had composting as of April 1st would be the Altamar, which has 214 families. So finally that part of Brisbane will start doing composting, which I'm happy with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about 15% of the households in Brisbane so far have not been doing composting, and as part of the regulation, they're going to move to that on April 1st. So.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, good news.
Okay. Any other thoughts about the subcommittee list? All right, let's move onwards to the community garden. Hopefully displayed on the monitor, we have the spot here by South Hill Drive.
That's great. So should we just vote on it and
It's awfully tiny.
how many gardens, I guess, do we think we could have within that space?
So I think we took, the city owns a lot of property here, but we took a space that was about equal in area to the community garden we have now and marked that out and accessible from the road.
And is it going to be sunny or is it shaded? Because it looked
So
awfully shaded when I drove by.
Yeah, we picked this spot because it wasn't covered by trees. There's also a little bit of the railroad spur on the other side of South Hill, but it's pretty tree covered.
Yeah, I
So
can see that.
that was the idea for this. So what we'd want to do, or what we would do at this point, if we like this spot, is recommend it and let the Park and Recreation Commission also look at it because they have projects that they're interested in and have them kind of review it. We'd probably want to, which staff could do, come up with what it would cost to put in the infrastructure, which is some water and plot,
Chain link fence.
chain link fence.
Gardeners are responsible for their own plots.
But we built the boxes that were,
Shouldn't have to.
I don't think, well, I thought we did before.
I don't know. Well, the last community garden was brought over from the previous one.
Right, well, originally, I guess, I should say.
Yeah, maybe originally they did. I don't know.
So in the same area, San Bernardino Mountain Watch is looking for another nursery site because right now we are on shaky ground, so to speak, and so is it possible we could have an adjacent site to this site, if you're bringing in that kind of infrastructure and work in conjunction next to this community garden plan?
It's probably not for me to say, but the committee could, well, I don't know, you could certainly ask, maybe. That's
Hate to say it, but can people park at this site?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
they
There's
can.
some parking
can.
for the businesses, that's
Yeah,
been put in
they
on
can.
the street that is
Okay.
public parking. They funded the parking spot and the signs, and they use it for their employees, so.
Oh, okay.
So there is street parking there.
Yeah.
There is street parking there along South Hill.
Right.
And Natalie, we checked how many people were on the waiting list. Do you remember?
It's there are a few people on the waiting list, approximately 15 or so.
How many sites would we be making?
I think the old one
30.
had, I was going to say around 30.
So one thing that I can mention that, I mean, I've lived in Brisbane for 9 years now, and I wanted to get a garden spot, but I knew that most probably I'm not going to get any soon, so I didn't even put my name on the waiting list. So I think when people realize that there will be a new garden opening up, there will be very high interest, especially from residents on the ridge, because this is very close to the ridge. It's within a walking distance. So I think we'll be able to fill up more than 15 spots. And it's possible that some of the people on the waiting list just say, oh, it's not next to central Brisbane, but I think we'll have enough candidates from the ridge because it's really within walking distance from that.
How do you get on the waiting list? Is that by calling Parks and Rec, or?
I think it's now with Public Works. It used to be Wendy Ricks in the city manager's office.
It's through the Public Works.
Yeah.
I forgot the lady's name, I'm sorry.
Diane?
Yeah, that sounds right. She's really sweet.
Yeah, because if they're, having the cost of bringing in infrastructure, and I'm assuming you mean water and
Yeah,
electricity.
mostly just water.
Yeah, well, except that it's dark out there at night.
Is there any particular electricity at the one now? No, just the
not
street
that I
light
know of.
that's nearby.
There might be some electricity in the shed. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked that closely, but
I think there's like a street light, but
I don't really know.
yeah.
But I could see people wanting to have,
So how many garden spots do we have in the current garden?
Michael said it was about 30, and that's what I
I think it's
recall.
closer to 40 because
Really?
I just moved my plot from 19 to 36, so it's got to
Okay.
be closer to 40.
but they're small. They're small plots.
Yeah, they're actually really small. They're 4 feet wide and 16 feet long.
Yeah.
But it's enough you can grow year round and have some fruits and vegetables mostly year round if you plan it out well.
I think it'd be good if we made plans for a larger space.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
yeah, I mean, larger plots might draw some more people out there.
And more plots.
Well,
So.
I mean, if it's similar to the current size, we could put in 30 plots and have them wider. Simple as that.
I still harbor designs on the building that used to be the teen center and the parking lot around it. I mean, the city owns that, right? I just imagine all that asphalt being torn up and having it used for something else.
That's just a lot more cost to get off the ground to demolish that building. If that were already demolished, that'd be obviously more choice, and I think that could be in our proposal that should that site become available.
Do you know if the city has any plans for it? I mean, right now it's just kind of an eyesore, really.
I think the city's just figuring out that it's not even usable for any, minimal activities. So I don't think there's, I think at some point with the library, one idea was that the Eagles might be interested in moving down there.
They're not.
They didn't have any interest, right? And we know that. So at this point, I don't think there's a specific targeted use for it.
It's kind of just like the old Star Cafe, 5-star cafe.
yeah. Well, that's destined to be the library. But But yeah, I don't think the city's really figured out what they're doing with that building.
Wouldn't that be a nice spot for San Bruno Mountain Watch and a little bookstore and a nursery all in that one spot?
Yeah, although
That would be
although
lovely.
I will say this, bear in mind that that site might not be the best site for a community garden, even if it was vacant, because for 50 or 60 years it was a gasoline service station.
Which one?
Yeah.
Raised beds. They'd even
And
take
I
that
don't
out.
even know whether they ever pulled the tanks out or not.
The teen center?
Yeah, that was a gas station. It's Flying A.
Oh.
Yeah, so you really need to remember that when you're looking at that site. I personally do not remember them pulling the tanks out when they closed it down. Matter of fact, pretty sure they didn't.
They just paved it out.
I don't know.
It just seems like a flat, vacant site has a lower threshold to get something like this off the ground.
Yep,
Really.
Yeah.
absolutely.
A flat, unpolluted site.
Yeah. No, and I think if there was room for an Mission Blue nursery there too, if the city was willing to consider it, it sounds lovely.
Yeah, because we hope to be able to keep the site that we have, but we need to make a contingency plan, and also we have it going forward. We're going to have enough demand to have a second site, especially if we start to grow larger trees and things like that for landscaping purposes.
Yeah, and
think
Mountain Watch ought to make that request of the city too.
Well, and Mountain Watch could use it for a nursery with the asphalt still there, right? I mean, you don't plant things in the ground. You plant things in pots.
Yeah.
So it would actually work for that. And it's right next to the hardware store and the fertilizer and the mulch and all that kind of stuff. It makes some sense, I think.
I think I don't know. To me, somehow nursery straight in downtown Brisbane just doesn't fit in. I don't know.
Paul? Oh,
Paul. No, please, Paul. I was just waiting for the end of the comments. Please, Paul.
So I think that would be a great opportunity to have a second community garden to help facilitate people on the ridge, because I know parking isn't really an issue at this garden site. Did I say nursery? I meant garden site. I know that a lot of people walk to the garden here, and I'm sure that the committee is going to have people from the garden, Tyler and other people that are been there from the beginning, to see what their needs could be for their new garden over there. One of the things that Michelle mentioned about Mountain Watch looking for another site is because UPC is allowing us to be there for the time being, but it's basically month to month that we're allowed to be there, and unfortunately that's a big part of our program for our organization is the nursery and the restoration opportunities that nursery provides. Most of the plants that we plant in that nursery are destined to go back on the mountain, as well as being sold to pay for the management of the nursery as well as our restoration program. So 2 people are employed through the efforts of that nursery. Mountain Watch, I believe, has just been talking with the city to plant areas. I believe one of them here at City Hall and other city-owned properties within the industrial park with our plants from the nursery. So we'll be going into contract with them to provide plants for the city of Brisbane. We provide plants for the county park system for the mountain on contracts. We provide plants for mitigated measures for PG&E's work that they do in and around the mountain, on and around the mountain. So, that would be something that we could begin to start talking with the city about, some possibilities. I could tell you that the parking lot next to the teen center there's plans to build apartments there. The owner of the 23 Club is gonna has big plans for that whole area. So, I would agree with the comment made about maybe that wouldn't be a good site for the nursery. I mean, any site for us as far as an organization would be great, but maybe it wouldn't be great for that location. But thanks for that, Glenn. Thanks for looking out. But so it's really encouraging to know that you guys are planning on more opportunities for members of this community for gardening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only thing that concerns me that we would really need to take care with if we had the community garden there is to make sure that we don't introduce more invasives into the area, because that is pretty surrounded by habitat, and so that would be an important thing. And even with our nursery, we're very concerned about Phytophthora and other, pathogens. So it is an important thing to make sure that
We could add some language
Yes.
into the,
Yes.
When you first get your plot, you're given a little bit of paperwork and you have to sign a few things. And short of that, there's nothing much more to it.
right.
I personally have focused on vegetables, but you could put something in, no fennel.
Yeah.
I think we should be very clear that this is not a garden for flowers. It's for growing vegetables, edibles.
Well,
I mean, you mean fennel as an invasive, so don't plant something that could spread. Yeah,
Fennel is very edible.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much fennel up the hill. Why would anyone want to plant it? Just go up the hill and pick up some.
But each person who has a plot in the community garden is allowed to grow what they want. So if you're going to change
Right.
the rules, you need to have something in writing that each member gets. And
It's a good point. We should definitely do that.
Yeah.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, I just want to pop out with something. Would it be possible to move the space in question a little bit to more into that triangle
I was going to ask the exact same.
on the right? Because that would sort of, with the prevailing winds, that would sort of take it more towards populated areas and a little bit less on the edge of the mountain.
That's not city property, that wedge there.
Okay, whose is it? Just out
I'm
of...
not sure.
Because that also might be a real nice spot for the nursery too. Just even if you stayed, I'm guessing that the APN 0529999, I'm guessing that whole strip is city owned.
That's right.
Yeah.
So maybe there would be room for the nursery right next to the garden as well.
Yeah, that triangular strip is not flat.
I wasn't talking about that triangular strip
no.
behind it.
Yeah.
Too steep.
Yeah, I was thinking either of the behind, to the right of the words APN, or that triangle. I mean, the community garden that is now is terraced, or San Bruno Mountain Watch's facility could potentially be terraced. It makes it a little more expensive, a little higher threshold, but
You should go walk the site.
Yeah.
okay,
and
yeah, you're right. I haven't.
I took a drive-by, and I don't
Been
think I
there.
took the right drive-by. I think I was in the wrong spot.
No,
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing the Bay Trail right there, so I was definitely in the wrong spot.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go look at it.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
I'll-
go on.
All right. So, yep, 12 minutes.
Chairman's nodding off here.
Yeah, no. I was studying the agenda, looking forward to the staff updates.
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Karen and Natalie, would you like to?
Glenn sent us an email about some litter on a property, and Karen advised me that it's possibly a code enforcement issue. So we contacted Bob Meisner, and he sent out someone to speak with them, and they have since then resolved it by assigning someone to make sure that that area is clear. And then also, Karen found on the city website there's a link to report these types of issues on the website, so I could forward that to everyone too.
Yeah, so this was next to the San Francisco Chronicle building. I think that was the one, right?
Yep. code enforcement is transitioning to the police commander is going to oversee it. The city's hiring a part-time person to do code enforcement because we lost the last one. He retired finally, I guess, fully retired. And so they said to use their website, or I think when they have a person installed, there will be a phone number to call directly. I think for now, still calling the building department, but on private property, those are code enforcement issues.
Great, thank you.
That would be excellent because all along South Hill Drive there is garbage from those trucks that park there and from the other businesses that are there, and it is disgusting. Can we get a code enforcement on that?
Yeah, and there's if they're on the east end, we have made contacts with them and definitely appreciate if the community's telling us that that's not being done.
It's not being done. I was just over there when we did the creek thing, and there's garbage all along South Hill Drive, and also there was idling diesel trucks for definitely longer than 5 minutes.
And I'm not familiar with the exact rule about how long people can idle, but
5 minutes, California state law.
Okay.
And there's exceptions to that, one being certain trucks of certain kinds with refrigeration and yada, 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 and the other being within an area of a school you cannot idle, period. So, yeah, I looked it up.
I think, unfortunately, most of these trucks, most probably are refrigerated trucks, and they're going to get away. I've seen them as well.
Yeah, it's not a refrigerated truck that I saw the other day.
well, the more specific information you have, the better. So when
The
you
license plate number next.
email,
Yeah.
call, or just even just the times if they're there every week, this day, this time, because we're asking the police to enforce, and to just say I saw a truck idling last week is hard for them to.
I know. But at the time I had a different agenda I was working on.
And the trash is on the north side of South Hill, where these trucks are
Yes.
waiting to go in. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Alrighty. Hard to reach business program at San Mateo County
Energy Watch.
Energy Watch. All right.
So they had a program to target hard-to-reach businesses, and Karen went over that criteria last meeting. So I spoke with a fellow that's basically in charge of researching for this program and helping staff implement it, and he made a list based on the criteria and PG&E data, and he said there are about 120 businesses that could qualify for this program, and outreach will soon begin next month.
Great.
What's a hard-to-reach business? Like, what's the definition of that?
So we went over the criteria previously, but I think it was English as a second language. It was business of a certain size and certain staff number, and basically they would target them to reduce their energy use. Yeah.
Aren't they going to do those mini audit type things? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Future meeting dates. So next month we'll meet on the 8th, and then after that we'll continue back on to every third Wednesdays.
Wait.
Next month, we're meeting on the 8th.
Yes.
I wasn't able to move my class. Do we have to do it on the 8th? Have we really eliminated all the other days?
Yeah.
That's Monday, February 8th?
Yeah.
At 6:30?
Yes.
Monday, February 8th at 6:30. Okay.
At this point, you've got South San Francisco Scavenger scheduled on that date, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So
We had several emails about, finding a day that meted with, that fit everyone's schedule, and so unfortunately this was the day that we settled on.
Or it fit the most people's schedule. 'Cause
Most
we couldn't
people.
find one that fit everyone's schedule.
yeah. So somebody can't do Tuesdays then, huh?
I can't do Tuesdays
Okay.
until June. Not any Tuesdays.
Okay.
All righty.
And then we go to the third Wednesday. That's March 16th, April 20th, May 18th.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Okay, just making sure. 'Cause-
So each one goes from Tuesday to Wednesday. So March 16th.
yeah.
Does the committee want an email with the list of
Yes,
meeting dates?
please.
That would be
to-
great.
for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, June 15th. No birthday parties on June 15th.
No.
All right. Okay.
So committee members asked for updates on some letters that OSEC has written, and the feedback I've gotten is that the planning commission is pretty booked in terms of the first couple items for the present time. So I think council I am paraphrasing, probably I don't have an exact wordage, reluctant to give them this work now. So those are kind of in a holding pattern. The last one, the fracking ban, we've gotten the go-ahead that we can bring that to council. We're looking to do that probably next month.
So, I'm sorry.
Because of the planning commission's work on the Baylands, they're not set up to work on the lot coverage or the paving over of residential lots.
And when will they be able to do that?
I don't know that I have a clear date because I don't know that they have a clear timetable on the Baylands. So we can give you an update.
So are they working on anything else besides the Baylands?
Well, I think they're working on applications that come in.
Yeah, there's been a rash of applications. It's just, after
I
it being
think that-
very quiet last year, they've got a bunch of stuff that's come up.
I think the lot coverage thing is not that big of an issue. They should be able to squeeze that in. I mean, it is pretty important.
The
Especially
paving
thinking-
over of lots, or the
The
Brisbane Acres.
Brisbane Acres lot coverage.
And I think that fits in that even the council or the council liaisons that came to the meeting kind of want them to look at the whole zoning regulations for the Brisbane Acres together and not piecemeal certain
Piece by piece, that makes
elements of it. And I think that's the direction I heard from the liaisons in November. They brought up
I wasn't at the November.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Well, no,
I know.
sorry. Just,
Okay.
It does make sense that they would want to do it that way. Look at it kind of.
Yeah, I'm just sorry it took so long that it ran up against the FEIR stuff, but
Yeah, because we brought this up over a year ago.
Yeah, I know.
It's been almost 2 years.
and I the sense that I get is that it's a big thing to open up, and it's the two council liaisons that came to the meeting have a lot of other issues with those zoning regulations and want to holistically look at all of them.
okay.
Also speaking of council matters, we're going to bring the open space and ecology list of accomplishments at the Thursday meeting. It's on the consent calendar. I don't think they'll go into it in depth, but just so that you know, they're going to
This Thursday.
receive that report, yeah. And so on E, the open space preservation concern, this has been referred, I wrote placeholder because it has been referred to the city attorney, and he's going to make a report to council, and then that report will be available to us. I'm thinking that it's going to be probably next month.
Okay.
Something that's not on here is
clean energy.
Terry and Madison are our new OSEC liaisons for council.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that. Madison.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Terry and Madison.
And Terry. Okay.
Wonderful. And the Peninsula Clean Energy?
Let's say about Monterey Pines. Oh, we were asked about, I think it was Glenn, about the Monterey Pine tree replanting. Was that last month?
Yeah.
Might have been Barbara.
Barbara. So I did speak to the planning staff. That's Ken Johnson that reviews tree removal permits. And he said there are a lot of factors in the replanting of those trees that are removed. He reviews the plantings that they propose. There are variable times of year that you want to replant trees based on what types of trees, and the drought was a factor, and he's not necessarily every time there's an application reviewing how quickly the tree's planted, but there is a deadline for each tree that's removed that needs to be replanted. So he's looking at it on, and again, I'll be paraphrasing, but maybe a biannual. He's taking the whole list and going and checking, but that is happening. It's just not maybe turning around really quickly, but there is a process for that.
Yeah. It's just that I know not all trees want to be planted at the same time of year, but with El Nino, this is a good most trees like establishment water, so this is a good time for most trees, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
Would we?
I replanted the thought, I would say, with him to
it's good.
All right.
All we can do.
Replanted the thought. No pun
no
intended.
pun intended, actually.
Fertilize the mind.
Do we have anything for Peninsula Choice Energy?
So I'm just going to briefly go over some of the study highlights in preparation for the meeting next week. And if you actually want a copy of the study, I can email it to you. I can email a link to you.
That would be great. Could you send
Yeah.
that out?
Yeah. So the study was produced by Pacific Energy Advisors Incorporated, and these consultants have assisted the other clean energies in Sonoma, Marin, and Lancaster, and the study encompassed a 10-year period, and this is basically just about studies of scenarios. It's not limited, and this is not exactly outlined how things will be. So customers will receive their bill from PG&E and continue to be eligible for PG&E rebates. Unbundled RECs is when renewable attributes are sold separately from electric commodity. Bundled is when the electric renewable attributes associated with the renewable generation are both sold and delivered to the buyer. And they believe that 8,000 to 10,000 new jobs are expected to be created, resulting in an economic output of $1.1 million to $1.3 billion.
In the county?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
A billion. So I'll just briefly go over some of the scenarios that was presented in the study. So number one, it'll consist of approximately 35% renewable, and they'll be increased to 50%, and it's expected to be rate competitive with PG&E, and while slightly exceeding the renewable portfolio standards. And cost savings are expected to be $6.18 per month, and the greenhouse gas emissions unfortunately increase.
And why is that?
I don't understand it quite myself in the study, but I didn't want it to go into such great detail with me just giving a brief overview.
Okay.
I'm sure they might. And see, that's a question you probably want to go to next week and ask them yourself.
Okay.
It could be if they're looking at a 10-year 10-year time span that they're factoring the carbon, the full life cycle and the carbon emissions of the panel manufacturing, but we'll have to read the study and find out.
Could also be because they will exclude nuclear, I would guess.
Me too.
So for the second scenario, it'll be 50% renewable energy, and though it'll continually exceed the renewable portfolio standards, and you'll save $4.36 per month, and we'll have greenhouse gas savings. Scenario 3 will be 100% renewable energies, and there's expected to be no greenhouse gas emissions associated with that. And you'll expect to pay $1.86 more per month. Some risks and considerations. Wholesale energy markets are subject to volatility resulting from sudden changes in factors such as weather, natural disasters, infrastructure changes, etc. The availability of hydroelectricity is limited. PG&E rates are expected to increase an average of 2.5% annually. One factor that could increase PG&E rates is the potential closure or rebuilding of Diablo Canyon Power Plant, resulting in the prohibition of the use in run-through cooling at the plant, which I didn't look into more detail what that was about. CCA customers will pay the CCA rates for generation services, PG&E's rates for non-generation services, such as transmission and distribution. Two surcharges that are currently included in the PG&E rates, which are the franchise fee surcharge and the power charge indifference adjustment. The power charge indifference adjustment has been volatile, which directly affects franchise fee surcharges. If there are high opt-out rates, it would increase the cost to customers currently enrolled in PCE, or the people that choose to stay in it. The JPA insulates the members of each organization from financial liabilities independently incurred by JPA. CCA will make market purchases from the market when there is a spike in use, and so when there are excess energy volumes. So eventually they'll be able to develop a procurement strategy that will be developed to have balance to meet demand. So the recommendations from the consultants were San Mateo should consider trade-offs and the goals of CCA, and the study shows that CCA program could have both economic and environmental benefits. So I think it's a good idea to go to the workshop next week, and it'll be here at 7:30.
Can you get that? Can we try to make sure that that's filmed
Yes, it will.
for rebroadcasting?
Yes.
Excellent.
Is the community aware about the workshop?
Your microphone.
Is the Brisbane community aware about the workshop? Where is it being announced? And
I believe it was in the blast last week.
Yeah, it's been announced. If you want to look it up and link it to residents of Brisbane, that's
okay, yeah, I think because I haven't seen it posted there, and so I can do that definitely.
Maybe you could put it on the community board.
yeah, it's a good thought.
That'd be a good idea.
'Cause
Yeah, that would be good.
see that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Oh, get Park and Rec.
Alrighty, well,
She means.
anybody have anything else, or shall we
I
motion
move to adjourn.
Any seconds?
Second.
All not in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Watch those trick questions.
I know, right?
You reap what
Keeping
you
us
sow.
on
You
our
might be here for another
toes.
hour.
I know.
2 hours later, we finally get a second.